All right, we're live. What's up, fellas?
What do you
This
do?
is Volume 7 of Spittin' Sports with, as always, the Philly fanatic Chris Wilson, the
Yellow.
Heat Hog Hunter, the Degenerate Sands, and
What up?
myself. If you follow me, you know what I'm about on YouTube at The Lando Show. You know, actually, you can see it in the background right here, too. But today on the docket, man, there's that word again, Hunter, docket. I learned that from you, actually. I learned that on Shooting the Shit with Sands.
God,
Uh,
that fucking word.
the Mavs 50-win season. We got, are the Sixers in trouble? We got the Lakers burnt toast, and then are the Heat back? Pertinent to this group of people, specifically for the aforementioned reasons, the Heat Hog Hunter and the Philly fanatic Chris. Lots of interesting stuff happening on the Eastern Conference side of things, and then to round things all up with around the association, we'll touch on the playoff picture as it stands. 2 games left, give or take, for the just everybody in the league. So we kind of have a pretty good idea of how this playoff picture is going to look. So we'll start with that, fellas. What are you guys thinking right now?
Go ahead, Sans. What you got?
I think it's from the Heat perspective, it's looking like it's gonna turn out okay. The Nets seem to. I don't know how the standings look right now after tonight, but it looks like the Nets are gonna play for the 8 seed.
So I
Yep.
got
If they
you.
hold those people off,
I got you right now.
or
It's
play the 7 seed. Sorry.
Miami, Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly. Toronto, Chicago, Cleveland, and Brooklyn. Right now, as it stands right now, with Hawks and the Hornets being 9-10. So
Yeah.
Little-
So and how
little
they're only up half a game or something, right?
yeah, no, it's tight.
The Nets. Yeah, and I know we clinched the 1 seed. Once
they-
again, I
they
just
did.
think the Eastern Conference is going to be a dandy.
Yep.
I think in the first round,
I'm pretty upset.
obviously
after today,
depending
man.
on our matchup, I think if we get a Nets and Bucks series, you may be looking at 7 first round. If we get the Cavaliers, I think we'll beat them probably in 5. But other than that, you got the Raptors 76ers, which we got a preview of tonight. It's going to look like a 7-game series, no doubt.
I'm not excited.
No
I'm not excited,
doubt.
man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
That's-
excited
that's
to
the
play
one
them
team
either.
Philly Twitter's been trying to avoid all year. I mean, other than Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But like Toronto.
And
just-
any team the Celtics play,
right, like
they are always in close games. I think that any team they play will be a good series. I think the Bulls they have a chance to take it 6, but that lack of depth
go
down
Boston
low
5.
is horrendous.
I'd go Boston.
Yeah, it's like golly.
Generous.
But yeah, I'm pretty interested to see how it turns out and things of that nature. I think it's going to be a fun playoffs for the Eastern Conference. I think every series is going to be must watch. Probably.
Yep.
So,
So,
I think that's where I want to start first. Actually, is because that's something that we touched on specifically last week, as far as how things shake out with the whole styles make fights. That was on last week's episode. If you guys want to go check that out, please do so. Hunter and Chris did a really good job of talking about really what is important in the NBA playoffs and what matters, right? So one of those was styles make fights, and how the Raptors specifically would be a tough matchup for anybody, but especially the Sixers. And as of right now, that's looking like it's going to be the way things shake out. So I wanted Chris to talk about that.
yeah, man. So we hit on it last week, right? I think to your point, styles make fights. I think we touched on just the way Nick Nurse has not been afraid to throw 2-3 bodies at Embiid.
Right.
He doubles him on the nail up high. He'll double him on the post. They'll force him to catch on the perimeter. They'll send 3. They'll make him a decision maker and a passer.
And that was something
tonight he was
Embiid
kinda
said
loose with his ankle.
specifically on the JJ pod,
No,
right? He
and
touched.
Embiid's acknowledged it. He said nobody guards me the way Toronto guards me.
Yeah.
And like if you've watched him all year, this to me, and I'm not trying to go off eye test here, but the one big differentiator between him and Jokic is the amount of times Embiid is doubled. And maybe that's because the Joker can beat you with his passing. But
Could be.
some of these teams, by their own fault, because maybe they can't recover to the rest of the roster, they'll play Embiid straight up, at least for portions. Like Chicago
Yeah.
will just let him go with Vooch. And he just it's barbecue chicken, as Shaq would say.
Barbecue chicken.
Toronto, it's almost as if like you're gonna see 100 possessions a game, and Embiid might see the same look twice throughout the
Yep.
entire night. And they've got all these like long 6'9", 6'10" guys who you switch and you barely know the guy behind you has changed. Like you're looking back and you're posting up Siakam, and then like you turn your head again and it's Precious Achua, and then it's Scotty Barnes, and their heads are all at the same fucking area, and you don't even know who's there anymore. Like
it's the assembly line, just like a factory of athletes out there getting after you on the defensive end.
So just hitting this matchup in particular, we talked about it, man. Like we spoke last week on James Harden being one of the worst 3 finishers around the rim.
Yeah.
That number's no fluke. Like if it's really hard for him right now to even get by guys on the perimeter, and then when he does, he just kind of leans his lumpy self like into their chest and flails his arms and kind of hopes that their hand makes contact with his wrist and that a foul gets called, and then he'll grimace and look at the ref. But most often what happens is he throws the ball up and it's an easy swat, and normally the swats aren't even aggressive enough to put them out of bounds. It usually stays in play and the other team's got a leak out the other way.
Yeah.
And to me, those are just as good as turnovers, right? Like tonight, James Harden had 15 assists and 3 turnovers. Like he was electric as a passer. Like he's spraying passes all over the field. But when you shoot 3 for 12, like, and those shots are either flails at the rim or step backs, right?
Yeah.
He has no mid-range game to speak of. He's got 2 spots on the court. It's just
I don't want
hard,
people to
man.
get that confused, as in like Chris is being like just overly hyperbolic when he says flailing at the rim, because that's literally what he's doing.
No, that's what he's doing. He's
Literally.
waiting on the whistle to bail him out. And like to me, like I wanted to talk to you about this, and it's like Tyrese Maxey goes far too many games where he's just not a part of the offense, and the kid's too good to not be. You saw tonight, he almost willed them back. He had like a mini 7-0 run in the fourth quarter to get the game respectable again within 3 or 4. But obviously, Daryl Morey went star hunting, right? And so, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. This is kind of like an ex-girlfriend who becomes toxic, and you hardly recognize it because she's been the apple of your eye for forever.
Yeah,
it's James Harden right now. Like he's not the same player that he was in Houston. He's not even the same player right now that he was when he first got to Brooklyn last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's hamstrings. I don't know if an offseason of rest is going to do him better. But for all these people on Twitter asking, is James Harden just coasting? No, he's not. He's not coasting, man. He just can't move anymore. And that's like really hard to watch considering like, and this is the guy everybody wanted, myself included. Like, and I thought we had no shot of landing him.
Right.
When we did, I was over the moon.
No, that was a big deal. That was a big deal for
But
all of Sixer Nation.
You cashed in your one and your last trade chip from the process. Ben Simmons was it. Like, you had to get that trade right.
Yep.
And right now, it's kind of concerning. So you look at a matchup with Toronto, man, and they've just got 6'9" long athletes everywhere all over the court. We shot 49% for the field tonight, 52% for 3. And we lost the game because Toronto got 16 more attempts. Like, it's going to be hard to win basketball games. Yeah. You can't rebound, and you can't stay in front of the guy across from you. So, like, I would say, honestly, man, I think we might even be in a better position against Brooklyn. That's kind of where I'm at with how poorly
that's crazy. That's wild to
right.
That's wild
because
to say.
Brooklyn can't guard, right? And Embiid can go. KD's amazing, but Embiid
they'd rather just score 150 and call it a night.
Yeah, Embiid can go tit for tat with KD, like theoretically, and Brooklyn can't guard. Toronto, man, they're going to make it tough on what is going to be an insanely high usage player in James Harden down the stretch. Like, that's why you brought him here. They're going to spam Harden and Embiid pick and rolls, and the thing that teams have been doing now is just. When he first got there, it was like, well, you can't switch. Now teams are like, no, we can switch because James Harden can't get around my
he's
big.
He's not blowing by my big.
He's not
right.
getting by anybody anymore.
That's
Toronto.
That's my thing with James Harden.
Toronto is the worst team to do that against because everyone on the court is a switchable 6'9", long,
just lengthy defender.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
it's
kind of problematic, man.
With James Harden, I've been saying it.
Go ahead.
Saying it since the All-Star or the trade happened. I said, do y'all think he coasted for 50 games?
Right.
I said it over. Do you think he coasted for 50 games? I don't. So I got some statistics here. All right. So in Brooklyn, he averaged 23, 8, and 10 on 41%. The 76ers, 21, 7, and 10 on 41%.
Right.
That sounds like
just said this the other
consistency.
day.
What you
cannot
see is
think-
what you
That
get.
sounds like
Yeah.
consistency.
I'm saying, man,
Yep.
you can't say
And
you
then I
didn't
start-
get as advertised.
Right.
I start dipping into these stats when I'm looking earlier, and I go, this whole season, James Harden has played almost 60 games. He only has 26 out of the 60 games. He has shot over 42%.
Yeah, that's alarming.
As a guy that we look at, or used to, as one of the best scorers who has ever lived, you're talking about almost half his season.
Yeah.
He's not even getting to a 45% clip. Out of the top 25 scorers in the league, James Harden shoots the lowest percentage. Tyler Hero's on that list. There's a lot of volume shooters that are on that list. He
Right.
shoots the lowest percentage. And
That's
it's
crazy.
just, it goes on and on.
What was
Since
the-
he came to the 76ers.
What was that
Keep going.
stat that Zach Lowe said, I think, a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, talking about amongst
Something
qualified
about-
finishers
Yeah,
at the rim?
yeah, he's like bottom 3. It's like him and
Yeah.
some other guys who I forget that he named, but
That's just insane.
that's not a
That's
stat
so
that
bad.
lies either. Like, put both of your eyes on the game.
Right,
I don't know
exactly.
how he makes a layup. Like, unless the lane is wide open. Like, he's no longer even lifting off his right foot and finishing like a normal left-handed. You know what? He just, like, sputters
He's
through
doing
the lane
that.
like a penguin and then just, like, flails it up.
Like
He's
a
doing that
penguin.
thing that used
Do
to
that
go
off-
in
that-
all the time in
Yes.
Houston. That like
claw
hook float
floater.
thing.
Yeah,
it always
like
went
claw-
in
it
Houston.
did.
It just
He's not
isn't
making 'em right
dropping.
now.
Like
he's not making them right. That's what I'm
and
saying. Even
nothing-
the clean
to
looks,
me-
they're not dropping. So
when I watch him, nothing looks easy for James Harden, a dude that's about to be 33 in 3 months. That's alarming.
yeah,
3 or 4 months. That is alarming when nothing looks easy. Steph Curry's getting up in age, but shit still looks pretty damn easy for him out there. LeBron, it looks easy. These elite scorers, it looks easy.
Yep.
Even the step backs, the space he's creating ain't looking the same. He's reluctant, and I mean reluctant, to shoot the ball in the fourth quarter. I believe he had 9 field goal attempts going into the fourth quarter, and he finished with like 11.
his stats are terrible in the fourth quarter. I wish I had those in front of me.
Yeah,
Like, since
That's
he's
a,
been
that
Yeah,
to me
They're
is
awful.
specifically, that's just your cardio. That's what that is. I mean, that is a fatigued player. When you see stark differences between your efficiency in the first 3 quarters and then in the fourth, like,
But
I don't know,
I would
man.
say
It's
that.
like his legs are
I
just
would
not
say
there.
that,
see, I don't even think
but
it's
he
cardio.
would. He used to do that.
It's almost
Yeah,
like,
he used to do that in Houston.
And I-
But he was dribbling for 40 minutes.
and I'm
That's-
looking
okay,
at it
yeah,
now.
that's
like,
true.
we look at it through the lens. Like, you hear all these bad playoff performances, and you're like, Harden's big thing when he went to Brooklyn was he wanted to just be a guy. Like, he didn't want to have to backpack the same way that he did in Houston.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And now it's almost like you watch games like tonight coming down the stretch, and it's like this every single game. He won't even try to break down the guy in front of him. He'll just kind of kick it to Maxey and kind of be like, "Yo, like, can you go get us a bucket right now? Because like I kind of don't like want to really do this thing anymore when the game."
And he's useless off ball. Useless.
because he won't catch and shoot. He'll catch the ball, but we're making this entire pod about James Harden. I don't want to do that. It's supposed to be on the Eastern Conference and the West Conference matchups. Point
I
being,
would love
I
to.
think Toronto is a terrible matchup for Philly.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, a hot take getting back to the Eastern Conference. I don't even know if it's that hot. I don't think Cleveland makes the playoffs, which is sad considering how good Jared Allen and Evan Mobley were. Jared Allen's been out a while. They lost Colin Sexton, Ricky
And
Rubio.
Darius.
Yeah, the team's lost everybody but Darius Garland. He's like the last man standing. I think because they end with Milwaukee and Brooklyn. That's their last 2. So I think Atlanta wins out and Brooklyn probably wins out, and they play in the 7-8 matchup, and then Cleveland plays Charlotte in the 9-10. Then whoever wins the 9-10 is probably going to lose to Atlanta or Brooklyn anyways. So I think Cleveland might be on the outside looking in, man, which is kind of crazy to say considering where they were at one point in the standings this year. Like I know I saw
Yeah,
their loss the
you were
other night.
thinking
They
they were
lost
gonna
to
be
the
a
Magic,
fun-
I think, or the Thunder, Magic at the Thunder.
Yeah,
So
they
Chicago
did.
clinched.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of worried about Chicago falling into the play-in too and maybe not getting out at this.
Bro,
rate.
I was like,
I know.
they look horrible.
So like, I've been watching them in Cleveland. Those have been the 2 I wanted to play this entire time, and it's looking like it's going to be Philly and Toronto unless now Philly ends.
Unless.
We talked about these matchups being set in stone. It's not over because Philly ends with the Pacers and the Pistons, which fingers crossed we can beat Pistons this time. But we need Boston to lose 1 game to send Boston to the 4 to play Toronto, and Boston ends the year with the Memphis Grizzlies. So there's a chance.
Yeah.
The two seed in the West right now. Yeah.
Boston to me is gonna have real incentive to keep the 3. I think everyone in their building knows that, right? Like they're not scared of the Raptors, but if you can get an easier matchup, why would you not play for that?
Absolutely.
Right? So I think Boston's going to go balls to the wall and try to win that game. And honestly, I don't think Memphis has anything to play for because they can't move anywhere in the standings. So Memphis probably sits some guys, and then the standings are what they are. We're going to have Boston, Chicago, Philly, Toronto. Milwaukee is probably going to get Brooklyn because I think they beat Atlanta in the play-in. And then I'm taking Atlanta to get the 8 seed. So I don't think Miami has any trouble with Atlanta. So to me, I kind of feel like that's how the East is going to shake out.
If Spittin' Sports knows that styles make fights, you bet your ass all these NBA owners and teams, they understand that too. So there's some gamesmanship involved in these last couple of games, as far as just trying to get to the spot that you feel best suits you in the standings. But real quick rundown again on the play-in stuff: 7 hosts 8 and 9 hosts 10, which is interesting. Again, we've talked about why that is interesting on this a few different times, but. So the winner of the 7-8 game automatically clinches. They're automatically in. The loser of the 7-8 game plays the winner of the 9 and 10. So technically you have to lose twice to be out unless you're the 10 seed or the 9 or 10 seed. If you're the 7 or the 8, you get 2 shots at it, right? So and that's, as Chris laid out, is looking like Cleveland, Brooklyn, Atlanta, and Charlotte as of right now. So we'll see how that shakes off with 2 games left, but lots of moving parts to consider here, man, but
Yep, that's it's funny too, man. Like real quick, Philly and Toronto, right? Like Toronto's 2 games back in the standings.
I just saw that. I'm looking at it right now.
We have the exact same point differential, almost the exact same points per game and points given up. Like this will by no means be some like astronomical upset just because Philly has Harden and Embiid on the jerseys. Like Toronto's good. They've been a really good team since the All-Star break. Like that's a team that you don't want to play right now.
They remind me a lot of the Mavs.
Can I finish shitting on James Harden?
Absolutely.
If it pleases you, sure.
Oh, so
he's got to lean back
since he's
pulling the receipts.
You get comfortable, man.
Let me be happy, bro.
I got a tablet with stats. Since he's been to Philly, he's only played 17 games. I think tonight was his 18th game. Right? And a lot of people like to, if you bring up stats and shooting and all that, they're like, well, look at their minutes. James Harden has played 34 minutes plus in every single game except for 1. In 12 games out of the 17, he shot 43% or less with 10 plus shots. In 11 of the games, he shot 33% or less from 3. I mean, this dude is literally.
Hey,
like
Hunter, what's a good 3-point shooting percentage?
An average is 35 right now in the NBA. Average.
There we go.
Average is 35. So if you're 38, you're damn good, and if you're 40, you're elite like Maxey is. And when I watch the game today, I watch a lot of Philadelphia 76er ball, right? I watch a lot. This might be the hottest take that I've ever had. I think Tyrese Maxey is better than James Harden at playing basketball. In 2022.
He's damn sure better than score.
That's what I'm saying.
Score.
That
and if he had the reins as a point guard, dude, he shoots 40% from the field, limited opportunity, and scores in bunches when he runs the offense with the bench.
And like you said, can't play off ball either.
Tyrese Maxey's a 50%.
Yeah, Tyrese is good as shit off ball.
Yeah.
Tyrese is amazing off ball.
Say it again.
He's a 50% 3-point shooter since the All-Star break. Tyrese Maxey on over 5 attempts a game. Like he's a fucking sniper right now, and I think he goes missing from the offense far too often because James Harden has to have the reins. Now I want to say this: like tonight, Philly didn't run a ton of Harden and Embiid pick and roll. They didn't run a lot of it, and that's going to be like when the offense gets mucky. That's what they're going to run because that action's going to get you whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like if James will just stop trying to take the big because he knows he can't anymore, and dump it to Embiid and let 3 bodies come and just hope that he's spraying that night and the shooters are on like they were in the first quarter. You got a formula there. Like they're going to spam the pick and roll. So it's hard for me to say Maxey's better than Harden at basketball because James Harden is still a top 5 passer in the world. Like just turn on any game and you can see him hitting reads out of pick and rolls that only a handful of guys are hitting right now. But if you're going to go 4 for 12 every night, If you're gonna go 4 for 12 every night, like we gotta have a conversation. You know,
Yeah.
like we gotta have a conversation, man, because you're James Harden, man. Like spraying and praying is dope.
4 for 15 against the Pistons.
Like
4 for 10 against Indiana.
Like, you can spray and pray all you want, but like respectfully, man, we got you here so that we don't have to live with Danny Green taking a 3 with 35 seconds left in the game. Like we want Ben Simmons doing the same shit. Ben Simmons did the same shit. Like they did it differently, but like we brought you in so you could be another guy to take pressure off of Joel Embiid. And you're just not – he's not doing that right now from a scoring perspective, especially late in fourth quarters. He's been abysmal. So it's going to be something to watch, man. I want to pivot to the West, though, real quick, man, because we got to talk about the Mavs.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hitting 50 wins, which is dope.
For the first time since 2014. Yep.
Dallas has a better record than the Sixers, man. You know, like that's kind of where we're at
Yeah.
right now, which is kind of crazy. Dallas has had a similarly wild turnaround as Toronto. Like I remember looking at Dallas about 20 games in, I was like, this team's dead. Like their record was okay. I felt like they were winning games unconvincingly, yet the wins were stacking. But now, Dallas is good, man. I mean, you can go further into them if you want, but Dallas sitting right there in the 4 hole. I'm watching this game, so Golden State's up 9 on the Lakers right now. So
yeah, the Lakers
maybe
unfortunately
they
aren't
locked
going to
down
carry
that.
their weight for us and give us any help as far as the loss column goes for the Warriors.
Right.
But yeah,
That-
I mean,
that particularly is huge, right? So you guys can theoretically avoid Phoenix in round 2.
Correct.
Is the gist.
Correct.
That's,
exactly. Yep. And we touched on that too, man. That's why losing a game like, you know, in the KP revenge game, as they called it, right, to the Wizards in the way that they did, that was a big blow for the Mavs. You know, that's why now we're in the situation of back in the 4 slot again. So every game matters, as we all know, but seeing them perform the way that they have against the beasts of the East, with the exception of Philly, whenever they were still hot, after James Harden had initially been traded, it's cool to see that, you know, that this team can, while, you know, they'll lay a stinker every now and then, but as all young teams do, they get up for the big games and can compete with, like I said, top, you know, contenders in the NBA, like on the road at Boston, on the road in Brooklyn, on the road in who else am I forgetting here? There was one other one. Oh, the Bucks. So yeah,
And Miami.
yeah, and Miami. There you go. So
That game doesn't count, though.
yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. Again, this whole thing just kind of depends on. You guys talked about what you're looking at first, as far as when your matchup is concerned. Who has the best superstar? The Mavs obviously are going to have the upper hand in that category alone, in just about any matchup that they play, right? So you feel good about that, having a superstar that can go toe to toe with anybody. But just the supporting cast, what I'm seeing from Dorian Finney-Smith, who had 28 the other night, I think. Or,
I'm about to say, he's been lighting it up.
yeah, he
He's
had a
been lighting
career
it
high
up, bro. He
performance the
don't
other night.
miss now.
Right, and it's just like he's playing with confidence. He got that new contract. I think it was like $14 million or something, and ever since then he's been a different player. The only thing that really hurts this team right now is, and I would be curious to get your guys' thoughts on this, is Maxi Kleber. He's on at least 4 or 5 week stretch of just complete offensive ineptitude right now. He can't buy a bucket. And one of the better defenders, Chris has said in the past, maybe the most athletic guy on your roster, outside of, hypothetically Josh Green, who is not going to see as many minutes in the playoffs, but then Dorian Finney-Smith too, who's one of your better defenders. Maxi Kleber is an important part of what this team has really kind of rallied together around, right? Which is their effort and defense on that side of the ball. And to have him not be able to spot shoot and stretch the floor as a stretch 4, sometimes 5, that hurts this team, because if he can't be on the floor, you're not only are you less athletic and versatile defensively, you're less. It's just less offensive firepower as a whole. So that's a big question for me right now.
Real quick, Sans,
I think it's very interesting.
what you just said.
Go ahead.
You just described Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah.
Like Philly has the exact same dynamic. Like, to take a defender of that, and I think Matisse is in a different stratosphere from Maxi, if we're being clear, as a defender. But like, you're gonna have to take that guy off the floor because he simply cannot play offense right now. Like, teams are begging Maxi and Thybulle to shoot. and that possession is considered a win if that guy is putting a shot up at the rim. Like that's kind of where both those guys are at right now. So I'm glad you touched on that, man. Honestly, I don't. Sands, you can roll with it from here. I kind of like Dallas's first round prospects. I like Utah's Utah, man. Like Sands, we're ahead of the train on this. Like I'm finally on board. Like ain't shit happening. Like
Thank you.
Like go home.
No Joe Ingles. I feel a lot
I'm just
better.
saying.
Like go home. And then Denver, like they're cute. Like Jokic is awesome, but like Austin Rivers.
That was
like,
my take.
Dallas didn't lose to Austin Rivers.
I think
right?
Jokic is the only player in the Western Conference, maybe Ja, who has the superstar power of a Luka.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Jokic is that individually skilled. Like I shit on him all the time for how he looks, and I body shame. He is an incredible basketball player.
I'll check his stat line.
Yeah, I bet he shot 72%.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought this was funny, Landon, that you brought that up. It is so annoying as a fan when you're watching a guy like Maxi Kleber, who you have to play. You have to play him.
Yeah.
He cannot sit, and he's struggling. It's like, I know we all relate it to our teams. Duncan Robinson was on the worst shooting slump of his career, and it wasn't a slump anymore. It's 22 games of shooting 32%, coming off a year where he shot 40 on 9 attempts a game from 3.
Yeah.
But you have to play him. You can't put him on the bench because he's a weapon and they gravitate towards him. And now it was so crazy when Maxi Kleber, if he just plays well, because it's getting to the point when I watch the Mavericks games, and I don't watch all consistently enough to know like these stretches, like these bad stretches, where I'm like, bro, wasn't Maxi Kleber like a stretch 5 at one? Like,
legit he was. Yeah.
Am I tripping? Like, yeah, and I was like, I know he used to shoot like 30-something% from 3, and every time I see him get a pass, wide open.
Wide open.
I mean, everybody's looking at the basket. Yeah, everybody's looking at the basket when he catches it, and then he clanks, and I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. It's like the Harrison Barnes final series against the Cavaliers, where you're literally playing 4-on-5. Dude, you're playing 4-on-5 when you have a guy like that. He sold it. Yeah, he had a calf future. He actually sold that. Yeah, he had a calf future. I want to hear Jokic's stat line. Real quick. I want to hear Jokic's stat line.
35, 16, and 6 on 16 of 24 shooting.
God. Sam.
This dude is gross.
Stop playing.
66% from the floor, 35, 16, and 6 in 35 minutes. This guy's disgusting, bro.
When you watch him play, you literally don't know how he does it.
Anywho,
but I think the Mavs also, I wanted to get into the Jazz matchup. I think people forget how good Donovan Mitchell is. I know
I love his game.
You're comparing,
matchup, right, than we are.
Yeah. It's like I think we kind of sleep on them. We forget they took the Nuggets 7 when the Nuggets went to the Western Conference Finals, I believe, in the bubble.
And they were up 3-1
and Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. And Jamal Murray is and they were Jamal Murray and him were going for 50 spots.
They each had 50.
They're just trading buckets. Yep. And I just think Donovan Mitchell, and I'm picking the Mavs and probably 6, so I'm not sitting here trying to think, but I think the impact of a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who was built for these moments, and I feel like he just wants to play this way. I think he's going to have some 40-point performances, and maybe the Mavs still win those games. But I think it's going to be fun to see him play in the playoffs, but that locker room turmoil is real.
Yes,
I was ahead of the curve on that too. Toot my own horn.
Yeah.
Toot. I said they would miss Joe Ingles in the locker room, and it's just showing. It was incredible, that stat that they put out. Like, how many assists did he have the whole year to Rudy Gobert? Like 2 or some shit like that, or something like that. The whole year, he doesn't even pass the ball to him because, like us, he's one of us. He's one of us. He knows he's trash. He's on his team. He's like, that dude. If it ain't a lob, if it's not a lob, then what's the point of giving him the ball? You know what I mean? But I take the Mavs in that series 10 times out of 10. I think they would lose if they played 10 times in a playoff setting. I could see the Mavs losing maybe 4 times out of 6, maybe 7, or losing 3 games out of 10. So.
And again, so you touched on the locker room rift, which I think is important. That was going to be my next transition. there is real legitimate beef, I guess. That might be a strong word, but there's a rift between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell right now, and then maybe somebody else. And you throw that in on top of the absence of Joe Ingles, like Hunter talked about. That's a huge like glue piece for that entire team. Like he does a lot of things for that team specifically. But then on the Mavs side of it, again,
maybe more off the court than on.
Right,
he's good on the court.
Exactly.
Not to interrupt, but
no, you're okay. That's just better context too. It's all kind of ties into to the grand scheme here, and then the togetherness of the Mavs on the flip side of that coin is kind of what, it kind of teeters things a little bit more heavily in their favor, in my opinion, just because the depth that they play with. And again, that's even without one of their most important defensive contributors in Maxi Kleber being able to even remotely shoot the ball right now. But having almost, I think they finished with 7 guys in double figures the other night, and then 2 other players had 9 points, so they were 1 point away from having 2 guys 1 point away from having 9 dudes finish in double figures. I've never seen that before. At least I'm sure it's happened, and I'm sure it happens more frequently than we would probably think, but I've never actually stared at it on a stat sheet after a game. And just to see them doing that this late into the season seems to me like they're peaking at the right time. So we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely think they're a team where everybody knows their role.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched some like late game stuff with Philly, and I think it's, as expected when you have a guy of that usage rate come over and you're trying to fix something in 20 games, like it's hard. Dallas seems to be a team where everybody knows exactly what their role is, and nobody tries to do more than they're asked to do or should do. So
right.
and you combine like that with J-Kid's defensive numbers that are quite frankly out there, accessible to anybody. I'm not eyes, I don't know what like makes them good, but they're good. Luka's taking a step, I think. It's fair to say.
Mm-hmm. Even he's not a liability anymore on the on the defensive
just pick
side.
On him, and I think everybody else kind of feeds off that. So like you combine that with Luka being Luka, like that dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're gonna have any trouble in the first round. The second round is where things are gonna get dicey if you stay in that 4 hole.
Yeah.
Because Phoenix, that's a beast right now.
A train.
Like that's a freight train, man.
That's a train.
Yeah, we're all on the same page there as far as not really seeing anybody that can beat the Suns 4 times in 11 days. So,
sure.
Can I touch the role thing?
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from, if you look at the LeBron teams in Cleveland or the LeBron teams in Miami, and I think Luka is LeBron, a modern era LeBron, a 2022 LeBron, where if LeBron was his age right now, he would be shooting step-back threes and he would just shoot free throws and go to the rim. I think when you have a player that is that great, where it's not a Donovan Mitchell that we just touched on, not just a sort of top 15 guy, you know what I mean, top 20 guy, that when you know a guy is a top 5 player in the entire world, you just follow him, you do what he says, basically, and you know your role, and then let him do what he does, and if you hit your shots, you're good.
That's what I'm saying, because he gets
it
and does everything else for everyone else. Like it is literally
these latest games.
It's a one-man machine right now, which
so
is why we have always been so low on Dallas's postseason hopes, because LeBron's. I'm not comparing Luka, but like Luka reminds me a little bit of. He's a better passer than early James Harden was. But the point I'm getting at is when you run a guy into the ground like that and you continually ask him game after game, series after series, it's really freaking hard, bro, to beat a good team with one guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like Dallas is more than Luka, but like he's the dude who, if somebody else has the ball,
the catalyst.
If someone else has the ball late, it's a mistake because you feel like you robbed Luka of having a chance. You know what I mean? Like, so it's
in the modern 2022 NBA, just having Luka is having one guy. Considering you're going against CP, Devin Booker, you're going against multiple teams with all pros. Like John Morant, that roster's fantastic, but he's the only quote unquote guy on that team as well. Even though I'm saying they're more skilled than that, but it's just in this modern era, it's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy to see these teams you have to go against and just having a top 5 guy. If not, he's arguably the best player in the world right now.
Yep.
Under I think Giannis is up here, and then the 2, 3, 4, 5, how you want to sprinkle it, Embiid, Braun, KD, how you want to sprinkle it. But him being in that conversation, just having people going like, they may get past the second round is kind of bananas to me. But
yeah.
I want to touch on 2 things real quick, if y'all want, before we move on. I want to hit on what do we think the Clippers can do, and
nothing.
What about Golden State? Because nobody's talking about Golden State anymore.
Yeah,
you get some injuries.
Like
you get some injuries, and they shut up.
Up period, like, is he going to be back for Game 1? Like, what do we know? And like, because if Steph Curry's back, they're walking through Denver. To me, like, they're gonna walk through Denver. Like, Jokic is going to give them hell in the stat sheet, but they should walk through Denver if Steph comes.
So is it? Did I also see? Yes, I agree, Chris. Steph, Clay, and Draymond have only played a combined total of 11 minutes on the floor this year together.
It's crazy. Like, everyone wants to point to their championship pedigree, and I get that, but that was 3 years ago, bro. Like, they didn't play basketball in 3 years. Like, sure, it might fit seamlessly, but like, Steph's gonna need his own ramp up period, right? He might not start even doing basketball activities until the playoffs start. Like, I'm not convinced that he's gonna be back Game 1, and I don't know that they can beat. I don't know that they beat Denver.
They're not beating Jokic.
Yeah, I don't know that they beat Denver if he doesn't play. I really don't.
Yeah, it is the foot.
I don't think they can.
It's like a ligament or something.
Yeah, he had some weird Marcus Smart, like, pulled a whoever did into Braun,
if you give up 2 games to Jokic, I hate to say it, it's like if you were to give up any top 5 player, I think beating that person 2 more games is hard.
It's hard. So, like,
very hard.
I think if Steph doesn't come back, this is probably a waste of a conversation. But assuming Steph comes back, like, can they win the West? Do you think that you guys think they have any chance to win the West? No chance.
I don't. No, I don't think they get past the second round.
Yeah,
because in the second round, now, if the standings hold, they'll play Memphis. You don't think?
I think Memphis beats them
pretty handily.
And then I think the narratives in 6, I guess that's handily in the second round.
Yeah.
But I think then the narratives come out: are they too old?
Oh, for sure.
Are they athletic enough? All that stuff comes out, and it's unfortunate because I don't even know what James Wiseman can be in the NBA, but I would imagine with the Warriors he could add something. So, but without Steph Curry, this team, that's what I'm saying. If they got LaMelo Ball out there, that would have been, oh my God, the ball movement on that team. Yeah. If they trade up to get Anthony Edwards, it would have been crazy. But yeah, I think the Warriors are kind of tough. You got, without Steph out there, we've seen what they are.
Because
right?
I think they're beating Memphis if he comes back.
Really?
I do. I just think
that's crazy. I understand.
I like this. I like this discussion right here. This is
I don't think they're walking on Memphis. Don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know, man. There's something about Memphis that's giving me. They're giving me like regular
Clippers
season
vibes.
Utah Jazz vibes, and I'm sorry to say that because I love Ja Morant. Like, he's a blast to watch. Like, they're beating the brakes off.
He's a specimen,
without him. Like, they're what, like
spectacle.
20-3. They got smacked tonight by the Nuggets, but like, they're like 20-3 without him. And they don't do it the same way as the Jazz. Like, they win in transition and on the offensive glass. You know, like a lot of stuff that people are worried won't really translate to half court postseason basketball. But all that aside, they give me like regular season Jazz vibes, and I can't shake it.
I
man.
disagree.
Like, I can't shake it at all. It like just came
I disagree
on me the last like week, and it's been like creeping up my spine, and I'm like, what is that feeling?
You have to get out.
Away. And that's what it is. It's the Jazz. It's the Jazz right there. And I just,
Dude.
I don't know, man. I think I like.
They're lurking.
The only reason, I think it's different because I think that the Jazz, when they're on that 55, 60 win pace that they're always on to start the year, or they end up doing, but with the Memphis Grizzlies, they actually have individual talent. No offense to the Jazz, they almost work like a system. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, I think, I think that Memphis has a lot of more individual talent, I would say. Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane's a good player. Jaren Jackson, they got athletes and things of that nature.
Dylan Brooks came back and hung 30 the other night too. By the way, that's a
yeah.
Tough, man. Like,
But I could
he's
understand.
gonna shoot you out of some games.
I
but
can
he's
understand you.
tough.
Yeah, I can understand your point in that, though. I understand, like, the vibes. I just think their mentality is also a little different.
For sure.
They shit talk a lot. They're the young, hungry pups, like shit like that. But that may also be their demise in the playoffs, being the young, hungry pups doing all that shit, and then you run into a train like a championship DNA Warriors or something like that, and they shut you the hell up and all that. But I think they could lose to the Warriors, but I don't think I will ever compare anybody to the Jazz. I'll just say that. I'll never. The Nuggets and the Jazz are the same people. The Nuggets and the Jazz are the same team. They always have been. Melo was leading them to 50 wins every season. They would get knocked out in the first or second round every season. That's why I never put Nuggets with contender, Jazz with contender ever in my life. It's never going to happen. There's just rules to the NBA for me. So.
Yeah. So what
that's
about the Clippers, man?
The Clippers. Oh yeah.
Because I told you saying
that's interesting too.
You said because now Norm Powell's back too. Because we didn't talk about Norm Powell the other night. We just talked about Paul George, and still I think Phoenix wins in 5 games. But I do think the Clippers can give Memphis hell if they get to 7. I do think they can get
you
Memphis
in this Memphis.
I don't know.
You
what it is, bro.
hate the
I don't know what it is.
Grizzlies.
Like, I love Desmond Bane. Like, I love John Morant. But, like, tell me the Clippers can't beat the Grizzlies if they beat the T-Wolves in the play-in, which is very possible. Very possible. Right? The Clippers can beat the T-Wolves in that play-in game. That 7-8. That would not shock anybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In that game, like we said, anything goes in a 1-game series essentially.
Like, and so since Paul George like piqued your interest when he came back, like the eye emojis, knowing that they're playing the Suns. So like, if they're playing the Grizzlies, like why not?
Yeah.
And maybe
I'm with you.
Kawhi, Kawhi's like in the closet, like looming, like, well, there's a game 3, it's coming back to LA. Like Kawhi's getting shots up in the pregame. Like, I'm going to Vegas right there, and I'm hammering Clips for the series, bro. The Clips can win that series.
I don't think so.
This is good because this is the first real. This is the first
argument.
real disagreement.
Yeah. No, but it's good seeing things from 2 different angles. That's why I said this is fire.
Like Memphis is dope, man.
And I think
like they are fun as hell to watch, but they're giving me like major regular season front runner, like somebody needs to punch us in the mouth vibes. Kind of. I don't know. Maybe it's Dylan Brooks. I don't know. They're all like, and it's cool. Like when you're front running and up. You said Clippers vibes earlier. To your point, like there's a lot of that, like similar, like the Chris Paul Clippers. Like there's a little bit of that.
Yeah, but they don't have no Blake Griffin on their team.
No, but they got a job.
And I'm a Blake Griffin fan. Something. Yeah, but I think also their offense, it doesn't work with like the playoffs, how they score in transition, things of that nature. John Morant got the most points per game in the paint.
Yeah, that's weird. Like he's a
6'3" guard.
Yeah.
So
talk about
he's
the polar
untouchable in the
James
half
Harden
court.
in the paint. Like those two spectrums. Right?
And the Clippers, man, they're a feel good story, and I think Ty Lue could coach them to possibly, and I know this sounds crazy, possibly 2 games. He could coach them into possibly 2 games. There is not a player on that court that is better at any position other than Paul George at the 3.
Reggie Jackson is shooting 38% on the year, and they're 500. Like Ty Lue has them at 500, bro. Like it's like what?
I understand. That's my respect for Ty Lue. With Ty Lue, I'll give him his respect. He could get them to a game 6. But my bracket, honestly, I'd probably pick the Grizz in 5 or 6, probably 6. I always lean towards the higher amount of games.
6 is like respectful.
Yeah, like I respect Ty Lue and I respect
when you
Paul
say
George.
4 and 5, especially 4, and they go like 6,
like that's crazy.
You look like a dumbass. Even if you feel it, you gotta go safe. But yeah, man, I like Phoenix out of the West. I'm not gonna get cute there. If we're doing like full previews,
but the Clippers,
are we going all the way?
If you watch the Clippers, we can say that. We can say that for later.
Okay.
we're gonna do a Western Conference and Eastern Conference preview anyways when the standings are finalized. So, But yeah, I think the Clippers are. If you watch them play, they're some dogs, and they don't back down from anybody. And I think they are a tough out. But at the end of the day, they are what they are, and the fact that we have to compliment the coach on how shitty his talent is, but he's gotten them to this point through the regular season where talent kind of divvies up, people sit out. People are out for them, but other people sit out, things like that. Yeah, it's like Ty Lue's an amazing coach, but I just can't see the talent level for the Grizzlies is too high for me.
I feel that, and I could be way off there, but I'm just saying, man. Like if I'm on the Clippers and I'm Terrence Mann, we're down 1-0, and like I walk into the gym for shoot around. I'm going to my layup line. I see homeboy claw like I see the claw like 2 courts down from me, and he's starting to like plant on that AC, and he's like jabs. I'm like, I'm gonna have a little bit more bounce game too. I'll tell you that, right? That's all I'm saying, man. Like, well, if he's on the horizon at all, and no one's gonna know it but them, like, cause shit doesn't get
exactly.
out. Why? Nothing gets out. We just saw the first video that confirmed he's breathing basically. That video of him under the goal.
Bro, he's been off the face.
He didn't want them filming him,
he
did not want them filming.
Sure they got pissed. Like that, it's amazing how nothing gets out with him. I'm just saying, man, like, they're not going to win the chip. They're not going to make any real noise, but like, just keep your eyes on the Clips, man. If they get in that 7 hole,
just peek it. He
said. I think you respect coaches too much because Doc Rivers is dog shit.
That
but
is very possible.
We can move on.
That's very possible. Sixers win the chip with Ty Lue last year. That's all I'm saying.
Said. Yeah, product of your environment, man. Yep. That's what. That stuff definitely matters. All right, so around the association, we're 45 minutes in right now. What else are we forgetting? Is there something else that we need to hit before we get to this NFL stuff?
The Heat,
the Lakers,
have clinched the one seed. We'll talk about the Lakers too. Jesus, can we talk about the ups first?
That might be
we'll get to the good news.
Well, bad news out the way first. I think we got to end this on a good note. So,
okay,
the Lakers.
Well,
as you can see,
you know. The
Burnt
social
toast.
media, the social media era is so disgusting, bro. We sit here and you have these accounts that sit there and they're just waiting for something to happen to LeBron. Like, he averages 30 all year, but he like misses a buzzer beater, a step back triple team buzzer beater where he does 7 pump fakes, and he's under MJ now. The fact that they don't understand how dumb they sound.
The narratives are constantly teetering.
They don't understand how actually stupid they are for saying that, because people like Skip Bayless, who are real MJ people, they say it's not a conversation. But now, since you're analyzing every game he has when he's 37 in the regular season, you're proving to us that it is a conversation, and you can tell he's nowhere near it. I think the saddest part of this Lakers season is that I watched LeBron James have one – dude, this guy was a offensive juggernaut this year.
Yeah.
When I say LeBron was unstoppable this year, he rarely had a good game this year. We're talking every game you watched him play, all you saw was 38, 29, 28, 38. Like, it was so fun to watch him play. And I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm getting spammed from this other group chat I'm in, like, how you feeling, Hunter? You down? No, I don't give a damn about the Lakers. Yeah, it would be cool to see LeBron.
That's different.
Right.
Yeah. If LeBron is like dropping 17 a game and they're just playing like shit, that would be horrible. But this dude balled out, absolutely killed it, had a chance at the scoring title, sat out because he, in my head, LeBron does care about like the media narratives and stuff, to be honest. So he's like, I can't play now because it doesn't matter. And if I get this scoring title, they're going to say it was the most useless scoring title ever.
See, I got 2 things on that, though, real quick. Like, number one, Mark Stein said that he heard before they lost to the Pelicans that if they're out of playoff contention, LeBron was going to sit the rest of the year. Like,
which he should.
But, like, also to your second point, like, and I don't understand this. People knock Joel for the same shit about wanting MVP. Like, dude, I'm in year 19. I worked my entire fucking life for stuff like this. Like, I put in millions and millions and millions of countless hours. Okay, that might be aggressive, but you get what I'm saying. A ton
Well,
hours
millions
that
of
nobody's seeing,
dollars
like,
into the recovery
right,
stuff
and
too,
like,
for sure. Every
Landon
year.
can attest, like, the work that you do in the dark shows up when the lights come on. Like,
no question.
I'm 37 years old in year 19. My team is dog shit. AD is made of glass. The Westbrook trade went haywire. There's absolutely nothing to play for. Vogel's getting fired. Pelinka's going to be a scapegoat. Like, everything is burning. And the one thing that Braun has on the safety hatch is the scoring title. And, like, I know deep down that whenever the numbers are stacked up 30 years from now, this the shit that kids look at when they pull up the Wikipedia page. It's going to say scoring title, and we're going to be able to say, dog, Braun did that in year 19. Come at me, Mike.
Yep.
Like, what's Jordan got on that? Like, if I'm LeBron James, I want that shit because I put myself in a position to go get it. You know what I mean? It's not like not like he's doing Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards tonight, did you see him try to get 50? They were up by 18.
Yeah.
I missed it.
He started
I was at a
chucking
wedding.
threes at the end, and the Spurs cut it to 4. Like, they almost came back because he was at 47.
He was trying to get 50.
Right. Like, Bron's not doing that. They suck regardless. Like, Bron has to score 50 for the Lakers to be in a game.
Yeah.
So, like, what I'm getting at is I worked my ass off to even get in this position. Why would I not go for it? Why would I let some nerd bully me on Twitter into not going after a title that means something to me? You know, like, I never understood that discourse, man. Like, if I'm Bron, I'm suiting up both these last 2 games, and I'm shooting 37 shots. I'm doing like a Kobe final game both nights.
Yeah.
I'll shoot 37% if I have to, but I'm getting the damn scoring title. I know that much, man. Like, I've never understood why we do this thing where when something's down, we try to kick it, and when it tries to get back up, we shame them for it. It makes no sense to me. Like, LeBron James deserves and should go for the scoring title, man. That shit drives me
just
crazy.
hate
That's true.
I just don't. And that's me getting into the Twitter narratives like you're saying.
I know.
I'm not
saying
a billionaire.
It's you. Like, I don't understand why Twitter social media is so toxic.
That's
it's
good
like,
shit, Chris. For real.
Yeah, and it's just funny because I look at that shit, and at this point I'm old enough now that if it's about the Heat and we lose a playoff series, I'm going to be pissed. But if it's about LeBron or something, I'll just, like, laugh it off. Like, dude, when I tell you, when that buzzer hit 0 on that game and they were eliminated, I clicked refresh. And they were comparing them to KD and Kawhi legacy-wise. They're like, MJ would never. Would never. When MJ made the playoffs and he barely had 30 wins on the season. Like, it's like that shit is just so funny to me because when it's all said and done, that instance is not going to matter. And apparently to MJ fans, the people that make GOAT debates, it's better if he doesn't make the playoffs or he loses in the first round than getting all the way to the finals 10 times. Like, it doesn't – getting to the finals isn't an accomplishment. You have to win if you get there. So, but the Lakers, once again – this is one of the worst rosters. I'm not joking. If you take out LeBron James, keep AD and Russ, right, and say that they're healthy. Russ played almost every game, but say AD's healthy all year. And I believe, remember, they were 1 game under 500 when AD played with LeBron to start the season. Like, through this whole year that they've played together, they're 1 game under 500. Still not great, but they make the play-in.
Yeah.
They get in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a different story of health.
Without LeBron. Exactly, and maybe AD catches his rhythm at some point in the season because he looked like trash. But take LeBron off that team, I'm not joking you. These Lakers fans are saying untradeable people are Malik Monk, Stanley Johnson, and Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves and Stanley Johnson combine for 12 points a fucking game. What are we... Dust the whole roster, burn the paper, pray LeBron doesn't ask for a trade. Pray LeBron doesn't ask for a trade.
I was going to ask.
Yo, as fans, we all do that. I remember I told y'all I did the same shit like 3 years ago. I was like, Wesley Matthews is untouchable. He cannot he cannot be traded.
I'm so different. Like, I'm so different.
Fucking team if you trade Wesley Matthews.
That's what's so funny. When we were about to trade, when we were in trade rumors for Harden, I was telling Chris, I was like, I was like, get Tyler Hero the hell out of here. I'll pack his bags for him. I don't care about that shit. Get us the best player available.
Hey, I said don't trade Tyrese Maxey. You see why I was right. He's a better basketball player than James Harden, you feel? That's
facts.
I'm
standing by it.
I saw the vision, dog. We saw the vision. We saw him finish. Me and Sand saw him finish his first layup at the rim and said, that boy's going to be nice.
He's got something.
He's just gonna be nice, bro. That's all I need to see. Hey, real quick on the Lakers, though, like, I'm not trying to fall on a national narrative BS, but do you think they, like, considered trading AD? To me, I don't think so. To me,
I've already heard
AD.
rumblings of it. I'll say that. I've already heard rumblings.
That's wild to me.
Yeah, because of his fragility.
I understand.
You have to get peak value back.
But to me, that trade, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, that trade feels like exactly what the Pelicans got for him. Like, when I say that, I mean Bron getting assets back and role players, but you lose Anthony Davis. Like, what good does that do for his title window? So I'm like, they're caught between a rock and like, honestly, this might suck, but honestly, like, best case scenario is LeBron asks for a trade. Like, they need to just, it needs to be a teardown. They're stuck because they're getting pennies on the dollar when they offload Russ this offseason, and I'm just not sure they're going to be able to put.
Oh, he has no value left. They're not going to be able to bring
all those pieces back. No, he's done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
no.
I don't know that you can rebuild that. And honestly, man, like after the season of turmoil they just had, I don't think people. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be going overboard. I don't know that free agents are going to be lining up at the door to kind of get back in there and think.
Well,
that they can...
you kind of saw the DeMar report about how they didn't know what they were talking about when he went for a visit or when he talked to him on the phone.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
So, but you have to realize this is what I talked about on one of our first episodes about the horrible state that the franchise is in. If y'all remember this, LaMarcus Aldridge was going to go to the Lakers to play with Kobe. Dwight Howard got traded to the Lakers, I believe, right? He got traded to the Lakers, or am I tripping? Or did he just sign there? I think he got traded, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe, yeah. And there was all these players. Dirk once again went on a visit there, and all these players started coming out in the most recent free agencies, and we're just like, they literally do not care about basketball. Their whole presentation and everything is based around being in LA,
Hollywood,
having a Laker jersey on. It's Hollywood. You'll be more famous, make more money than you ever have, and they don't care about basketball. The Lakers organization is still the same organization that had Robert Sacre starting on the This is the same place. This is the same roster. This is the same roster that had Julius Randle, D'Angelo Russell, all those guys who ended up being good players, but they traded him away.
All of them.
That's what I'm saying. All that. So
Swaggy
people
P.
forget until
Caruso.
LeBron came, they had not made the playoffs in, I believe, 6 years.
They were poverty.
And now they are back. They are back now to missing the playoffs every year but the year they won a title. And the play-in year. They made the play-in and got demolished. So you're talking about 2 times in almost a decade that they've made the playoffs. So it's the organization. Rob Pelinka isn't even a damn GM. He's an agent.
They got a mom and pop shop
that people say they dislike.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's terrible for the Lakers.
If you haven't seen Winning Time, that basically details the rise of I mean it's crazy to say, but that's it's amazing. You gotta watch it. I'm like 6 episodes in right now, I think. It's every Sunday they drop a new one, but I think we're like 5 or 6 in. But it basically kind of highlights a lot of what you guys are saying. You know, it is more of a it's a show. You know, the Lake Show, like that's a thing. You know, it's always been that. They wanted to be different, and credit to the Buss family. You know, like they brought something out of nothing. Like the most exciting thing happening for Lakers Nation right now is detailing how the organization came to its peak, its pinnacle. And this is all stuff that started back in the 1970s. Like, so it's really interesting the way that not only that they talk about detailing how it kind of all went down, but also just I'm bad at like being able to speak about this stuff and like what goes in and out. But like as a viewer, you see the characters in the show are speaking in third and first person. So it's like they'll have their own subplot within each other in the movie, but then they'll also like pan and then they'll talk to you like on your couch and they'll like point at you and say, like, it's almost like light bulb, right, as in watch this, like this is really important. So they find really unique and clever ways to show you exactly what matters and what was kind of like the rise and how they really came to be what they are today. But it is wild to see that, man. You know, a team loaded with that many stars, and all of a sudden, like Sands talks about, it's really what we're looking at is a team that's been in the playoffs 2 out of the last 10 years. So it's insane.
It's crazy, man. I don't really know where they go from here, but we can move the hell on from them. I know that.
Yeah, and another thing, too, is just because I heard you mention maybe the best thing for them would be LeBron asking for a trade, almost as if to kind of like do the organization a favor, right? As like paying his own respect to the greats that came before him. But to that point, I would also just play devil's advocate and say that watching the shop, I don't know what he said back there. The shop, though, LeBron speaks pretty candidly about his decision to join the Lakers, and him, you know, being the businessman that he is, not just the athlete, but the businessman too. He's also thinking about life after basketball, and so I could see a situation in which LeBron has ownership in some form or fashion. Maybe not in LA, but you know, that just kind of seems to me like that's the next move. Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing is true. Like we saw the report came out today. I forgot who said it, but as this is like a perfect segue into the NFL talk, and we'll have to cut this and open a new studio because my computer's already bugging. But it's a perfect segue to the Tom Brady thing. He was ready to join forces with the Miami Dolphins and become a minority owner. I don't know if y'all saw that story today.
Insane.
Yeah. So it's just right. So it's a dope thing that players of these guys' caliber are afforded with the ability to do. Same thing like Derek Jeter did. Now he's no longer in that realm.
Yeah, it was short-lived.
Or at least in like
he gave the Yankees a short-lived some ownership deal with the Marlins. Dipped. That's what he did.
Yeah. Undermining his own ownership, but yeah. So I just think like life after basketball is pertinent for LeBron right now too. You know, age 37, his son is potentially entering the NBA, so I think it's a little bit different for him now as far as what really matters in championships and stuff. I think he's kind of at peace with what he's done in his career as far as the LeBron versus Jordan thing is concerned. So I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but it does feel like they're stuck right now for sure. They're handicapped with their assets. They really don't have a ton. And I say that with Russell Westbrook in mind, an oft-injured Anthony Davis, and then a LeBron James who I don't think is necessarily eager to get out of LA and go chase another city. So
to add one more thing to your point,
we'll see.
This is, I don't want to say downside to having LeBron James because he single-handedly, in most years, affords you the opportunity to be a contender just by him being on your roster. But when you look at the way that LeBron has left teams, you get nothing back because he walks as a free agent. And a large part of that, especially in the sign-and-trade era, I still don't think it's possible because you can't put together a theoretical trade that sends back proper value for LeBron James, right? Like he's the one guy who, as long as he's been alive, like there is no package, like the NBA.
There's no replacement.
Only allow you to trade X amount of picks and X amount of swaps, right? Like if you were getting fair value for LeBron, you would have to multiply that by 3, like theoretically, you know what I mean? So right,
you have to sell your organization.
The downside of the Lakers, and I kind of contradicted myself, but it's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. Like, I don't know that they can trade LeBron. So it's probably going to be another situation where, you know, at some point the guy ends up walking and you're kind of back to square one with no assets to build around. So that's kind of why, to your point, maybe the AD thing should actually be taken seriously this offseason. I'll be curious to see what
I think so. I think that's exactly what should happen.
Because you have to, as long as LeBron's on the team and he wants AD back. And with it being kind of a mom and pop shop, but I'd be interested to see if theoretically they hired somebody who had no ties to either side. I'd be very curious to see which side they would go on that.
Interesting. All right, I see. That's a good stopping point. Let's end this half around the association. Let's get to this NFL talk.
Let's do it.
All right, we're back. We had our intermission, our around the NBA segue into the current topics with the NFL. Really, just got one important thing left to discuss tonight regarding the NFL, and that is the Eagles and Saints trade. Obviously, it's important because we have a Philly fan in the house. That's Chris. And then also because we discussed last week, and we'll have to go ahead and clip that here. I've actually already got it clipped, so I'll just add it to this as well. But we discussed, actually it was 2 weeks ago now, the potential of the Eagles, or actually not the potential, but Chris specifically said he expects them to trade out at least one of their first-round picks, specifically as their contingency plan or their insurance plan to have draft capital next year to make moves as their franchise.
On that, man. That's right after the pod drop, basically.
It aged well. So that's what I wanted to discuss. I don't know if either of y'all have the numbers in front of you. I don't want to butcher it, but the trade package itself, you have that, Chris?
I do indeed.
All right.
So the Saints and Eagles agreed to a trade on April 4th, right? So the Saints received picks 16 and 19 this year from Philly.
Yep.
And then they also got a 6-rounder this year. The Eagles received pick 19, so the Saints first-rounder this year. A first-rounder in next year's draft. A second-rounder in 2024. A third-rounder this year. And a 7th this year.
That's a haul.
So Philly sent out 2 1s and a 6 this year. The Saints sent back their 1 this year, their 1 next year, a 2 years from now, a 3 this year, and a 7. So I think it's funny when you get into the analytics a little bit. Basically all those trade value charts have Philly winning this trade, kind of not by a landslide, but by a good amount if you assume even that the Saints pick falls in the same vicinity. So I told you guys this last time on the pod, man. The only thing that's more fun than rooting for your own team to succeed is rooting against a team whose first rounder you have coming back to you. That shit was a blast last year. And what better team to do that with than the
Colts
Saints?
And
the Colts and the Dolphins. What better team to do that against than the Saints also? Saints hates their guts. I think they're a bunch of front-running bitches. I haven't been able to stand them for years.
Wow, let's go, Chris!
We've argued on Drew Brees because I like Drew Brees, but going through my own history, they've knocked us out of the playoffs twice on heartbreaking plays. So my brother's a season ticket holder can hate the Saints. That's gonna be a blast this year. Watching Jameis hopefully go for a 40-40 type season would be pretty dope. As long as
I miss him.
4 games,
I really do miss him.
I miss him.
I do.
I'm pulling for him. I'll be balls out.
The most entertaining quarterback of all time.
For sure.
Honestly,
not even a debate.
You never know what you're going to get from him.
So, man, that's going to be fun, right? Because I've seen all these reports. You know, it's weird, man. We talked about this trade. I want to go back. And I know I hit on this, especially just with Sands and I, and probably the one with the 3 of us, where you have to have a partner to tango, right? It takes 2.
Yeah.
And I personally believe 2 quarterbacks are going top 10. I think Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett are not making it past 10. It's just how it goes, man. You look at the nature of the beast. Carolina's 1,000% taking 1 at 6.
God.
And then I really think Seattle has to strongly consider taking 1 while they're up there. Or there's always an unknown team that ends up trading up and going to get their guy, which you can peg a Pittsburgh. Maybe the Saints have potential to package both of those to get up there. I wouldn't rule them out completely yet. Maybe they got a guy if he makes it there. But point being, I didn't think a bunch of these mock drafts have Malik Willis going to Pittsburgh at 20. That's their ideal fit that we talked about. And I just thought that was one. I thought there was no way he was making that far, which means when Philly's picking around 15, 16, and 19, I didn't think there was any chance a quarterback on the board that there was going to be a quarterback on the board worth a call up, right? So I didn't know that we'd be able to get a 1. Maybe you move up a couple spots and you get maybe a 3 or a 2 or whatever, but I didn't know if the big deal was there to be made. But Sure as shit, Howie Roseman, similarly to last year, he traded way ahead of the curve, right? He did this a month out of the draft, which is very rare.
I was about
actually
to say,
unheard of.
Like that is so weird. Why would the Saints do that?
I think that's what we need to spend time on.
That's the weirdest part of the entire trade. They did the same thing last year though with Miami, if you remember. Miami traded all the way back up to 6 without knowing who was going to be on the board. Now apparently they wanted one of Pitts or Waddle. They were confident that one of those guys was getting there, with Chase going to Cincy at 4. But they were at 6, right? Like that, you can project that one a little bit better than you can project like 16. You know what I mean? Like 16 and 19. You've got no idea. Typically, Landon, I know we're going to hit on this. Like those deals happen day of. Like you've got that. You've got the deal constructed, and it's in your pocket for if the guy that you want kind of gets in that range, then you go ahead and pounce. But to make this shit a month out for the Saints, where 16, adding an extra 1, like I don't know, that doesn't get you any closer to a quarterback. The reports I've seen lately has them thinking that they're just an additional piece away from making the playoffs. You know,
delusional,
right? Which I don't know that I agree with. You start going through and you're like, okay, well maybe since they're in cap hell, maybe they just want another. I've heard people float. Maybe they just want another cost-controlled rookie who they think is going to be really good. Regardless, that's a really ballsy move to make a month out of the draft, man. So if we want to,
but even still, for a team that's already in cap hell, sacrificing more of their future with all of the stuff they had to give up, it doesn't. That part, I can't wrap my head around that. Sure. That doesn't make sense to me. The only thought process, if you're Mickey Loomis and the Saints, is the only way this works.
Package
is what you already said, that they think they're 2 pieces away. And they're giving everything up from their future for right now, and that they're in win now mode, which I cannot even trick myself into believing that to be true. That can't be real.
Oh yeah, whoa, yeah, it can.
They operate under a different confidence.
This Saints.
No, I'm saying I can't trick myself into them being actual contenders. No, I know. I'm saying it's stupid.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what they think.
Oh, that's what they think.
I'm saying they're stupid for thinking
another explanation to me is that. What if they are going for a quarterback? Maybe they like somebody that they like, and maybe I'm stupid and I don't know anything about NFL drafts, but they want to bundle the 16 and 19 pick with a team that has a quarterback or isn't looking for a quarterback to move up in the draft to get to that spot.
That also, that makes.
I think that would be the only reason you would trade outside of the draft for that, to have 2 picks to deal within the draft, because dealing not on draft day.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, it's
I didn't think about that.
I think that the only reason you wouldn't deal on draft day, there isn't that pressure, and maybe even Howie gets, which is crazy to say, I know it sounds nuts, maybe he gets more out of them on draft day for that pick if that quarterback is there that they want. But that's the only thing I can think of, is trying to bundle those 2 picks together to move up for a team that maybe doesn't like a quarterback prospect this year, but like the Panthers are in win now mode, so they're going to. Matt Rule has his job on the line at this point.
Yeah.
So he has to get a quarterback, so that they're not going to trade up for that. But I think that's the only way to think about it, is that they have to be bundling those 2 picks to move up for somebody that doesn't want a quarterback, that doesn't like the QB draft, to be honest.
Yeah,
okay, that's actually really smart. So I didn't consider that, and I actually agree with that. So to that question, or to what you just said, I have a question and a response. If you're Mickey Loomis, right? So let's assume your scenario is reality right now. Mm-hmm. If you're Mickey Loomis, you only make that deal to have that extra 1, right?
Yeah.
You've got 2 now.
Yeah.
You do that with your mind set on somebody. There's somebody that they want.
Yeah.
Who is it? In a draft where there is no set in stone, clear cut number 1 guy,
exactly.
right?
That's my thing. Like,
who are the Saints after?
The Saints, they're arrogant.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Like,
to me, sacrificing your future can only.
Yeah, like no matter how you spin it, like if you were to really go get a guy, right? Like all the talk is next year. Like next year is the one to hit on.
Yeah.
And so by the same token, like if you're trading to get 2 1s in this draft, right, to bundle them and go up and get your guy.
Yeah, you have your eyes on somebody.
But you're not competing right away, right, with a rookie. So like where do you really feel that you are, to me? Because those two things scream different outcomes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think
like they
Jameis
probably
is
feel
the
more
gap
comfortable.
guy.
Right. They probably
he's
feel
just
more
a stop
comfortable
guy.
running it with Jameis. To me, like I said, if a guy starts to slip down the board and you want to make this trade on draft night, that makes a ton of sense. But to do this, and for all we know, maybe they have another trade in place, not in place, but in the constructs, maybe, and it all makes sense. But I just, like, to your point, Sands, you mentioned maybe how he gets less, or maybe he gets more on draft day.
Yeah.
I would say quite the opposite, because when them quarterbacks are
really?
gone, this trade can no longer happen, because the guy that they're looking for is gone. You know, this is why you make it a month out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I've crushed him where he needs to be crushed. Yeah, he's one of the best traders in the NFL, point blank, period, bar none. Like he's always, you can always count on him. Now, cashing in the picks, that's a different story. But as far
You
as
talking about Mickey?
I'm talking about Howie.
Oh,
Howie
Howie.
Roseman's one of the best trading general managers in the NFL, in my opinion.
So the Eagles GM,
Yeah, he's one of the best in the biz at finding value through that avenue. And so you can always count on him to add you value. So from the Saints side, it's a little tricky, but from the Eagles, right, we touched on this last time. To me, it makes a ton of sense because all the things that we spoke on are we are not sure that Jalen Hurts is the guy, and the team has to add insurance in the event that he is not, and allows yourself to get up in the draft. You know, it's funny, man, like from the Eagles' perspective also, I think Philly would love to see the Saints package those picks and go get a quarterback. And go ahead and try to run a rookie out there. And go ahead and push that 2023 one into the top 10. And then let me see what we're talking about.
There's levels to
That's
this,
what I'm
Chris.
saying.
Yes, sir.
Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that Howie and that brain trust have cooking in the brain
That's
right
what
now
I'm
that-
saying, though. The arrogance of the Saints. Y'all don't understand, bro.
And
the
Howie
fan
Roseman
base.
clearly understands that. Like,
So
they-
Hunter
they
lives
get
in
it.
Louisiana,
Yeah, dude, y'all don't understand. I always say this. I truly believe the way the fan base acts, the attitude of the fan base is really a mirror of what that organization shows, exudes. So with this Saints organization,
in their decision making,
Well, you gotta
it just
remember
shows.
now, they are back-to-back-to-back should have been champs.
That's
Can
what
we
I'm
give those banners some
saying.
credit?
We're talking every time I would just like rain, and I'm not a first take guy. I really never have been really, but when Skip was there, it was funny. But every time I would look of the preseason NFL favorites, I see
they're
Max
they're
Kellerman
circling.
picking the Saints, Stephen A. Smith picking the Saints, and I said, "What proof do you have?" This team had Drew Brees. They had a good quarterback for the first time in franchise history, and they really thought they were relevant. Like, if we really want to talk about the Saints, let's be honest here. They haven't had a half-decent quarterback since Archie Manning when I was not even alive yet. Like, we're talking about a team that has not had a quarterback. They get a quarterback in a dome that throws for 5,000 yards and goes 9-7 every year, giving up 500 yards a game, and they think they're a piece away. And that's what they think right now. They really do think that defense is not getting old, tired, and dusted. They really think that. And they really think that they're a couple pieces away, a couple good players away. And we don't even know about the Alvin Kamara
they just
situation
lost
yet.
arguably their best defender to free agency.
And
Good
they lost
God.
their starting left tackle as well. So
Yeah, Teron Armstead's gone. He's in Miami now.
And
So
how many
whatever
years
I'm
does
saying.
Cameron
To me,
Jordan have left? DeMario Davis, how many years do they have left? Like, let's be real here. Does
Jenkins
Marcus Lattimore stay there his whole career? I don't know.
does Michael
You
Thomas
don't
take
know what's
another
gonna happen.
snap? Does Michael Thomas
Yes.
physically play the sport of football again? Like,
There's
a lot of
so
question
many
marks, man.
what ifs about the Saints, and they just they just add the what ifs to what they think is going to happen instead of just saying it's a what if. They add it into the formula of their team, which is so stupid.
From draft,
I love that they're getting trashed.
Saints hate mail. It's great.
I
Again,
hate
man,
the
I don't
Saints.
trading. Just adding it. It's just weird to me this far out. It's basically all I'm getting at. I think we all agree. Like it's one thing to target a player and kind of make the deal closer to when the move is made or when the draft is, but it's just kind of strange that you have. Now, maybe a lot of teams will
To me, it's a play at Malik Willis. I'm just going to say that
Me too.
bluntly and boldly. It's a play. It's a play. That's the only thing that makes logical sense for me.
Ritter's
they're trying to get Malik Willis.
Ritter's gonna go first, right?
I'm not sure about that.
I think
Really?
Pickett goes first.
I think it's Malik personally. It's either Malik or
Damn.
Kenny.
I was
Yeah.
just all the hype around Ritter was kind of crazy to me. That what I was saying, like his arm talent and things of that nature.
I think Houston will be a prime trade out spot at 3. Personally, I really think.
I do too. I think they're crazy if they're not shopping that right now already.
So
Yeah,
if somebody
absolutely.
trades, as the teams sit right now, I don't think Malik Willis goes before Kenny Pickett because I think Pickett's gone at 6 to Carolina. But if an unknown team trades into the top 5, I think it's for Malik Willis and nobody else.
Right,
that's kind of
and
where
that's
my
the thing.
brain's
To it. Yeah, I agree. I think that's just what happens now. I mean, it's just such a quarterback-driven league. It's the way it is. Somebody's going to come up, and it looks like. Honestly, though, the question is, so to your point, though, it probably is Kenny because even if it is the Saints, unless they have something else going on behind the scenes, I don't know how they're going to manufacture enough capital to add another one this year.
Even 16
But-
and 19 can't get you all the way up there.
That
Not
doesn't
even
get you
close.
there, right? It doesn't get you to the top 5. I don't think
it's not even
so.
close.
Especially not if you're a quarterback. But
Yeah.
dude, there lots of thought-provoking stuff right there. I mean,
It's crazy, man.
so what would y'all say though?
3
Like
weeks
your
out.
gut right now. Your gut right now. Do they stick?
The Saints?
Are they trading those two to move up? And if so, who are they getting? I think it's Malik Willis, but just want to be clear here for everyone.
I think that they stay. While I don't think
I think
Malik
they
Willis,
do too.
While I don't think Malik
Okay.
Willis goes to Pittsburgh at 20, I think he goes to Pittsburgh. I just don't think it's at 20. I think Pittsburgh is going to be the team that, like that. That to me is a team where you're like,
That
man,
they're
we got
ready.
them.
Let's roll.
It's Mike Tomlin.
Maybe they're like the guy
Yep.
does. He's like the guy to know how to lose, right? And like so maybe
No.
their O line has some holes, but maybe you assume
They got Brian Flores on that staff too
Right.
now.
Like maybe you assume a guy like Malik Willis can run around and kind of make do with a little bit of a makeshift offensive line where you don't have a damn statue standing back there whose ADOT is negative. Like maybe they really feel like even though he's going to take some time to grow, that he can kind of help make up for the few deficits that they do have because they're loaded.
Let's
at
be
receiver.
real.
They got a running back that defense championship level defense.
Ben Roethlisberger was so dog shit this
Let's
year. I
be
couldn't watch
real.
it.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's exactly
I'm
what I was
sorry.
about to say.
That is literally like the Paul
Let's
Pierce,
be
the
real.
Paul Pierce farewell tour that he thought he was Kobe
The Wizard.
or the Draymond. That was literally what that was. Like a bench player out there just playing because it was his last year. That was the most disgusting shit
Felt
I've ever
so
seen.
bad for him.
I'm like, yo, Najee
I really
Harris.
did feel bad for him.
Najee
Last
Harris
year's
had
Big
a
Ben.
Russell Westbrook
Last
usage
year's Big
rate
Ben
when he was
is-
on the
is
Thunder.
top 3. He is top 3 worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. Last year's Big
Dude,
Ben.
when I'm
Like-
talking about
like
this
I
guy
felt
was
bad for him.
falling
I don't
down.
I don't even know him, and I felt bad. I'm like, how are
Yeah,
you allowing yourself to
genuinely felt sorry for him. Yeah.
You're
Like-
tainting what is otherwise like a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Dude,
Hall of Famer.
Like, you just
That
that's
was
all
one
that
of
we
the
are gonna
wor-
remember from you. It's just like Peyton. Just like
Dude,
Peyton.
that Peyton.
That's hard
legacy
to
was
watch,
terrible.
bro.
HGH confirmed he actually took it. Nobody talks about it. Let him be on Monday Night Football. That's fine. Okay, keep going.
let him be. Yo, I mean, I was just gonna say, let's be real though. I mean, even if Malik Willis is a Pittsburgh Steeler and he literally physically can't read a defense yet and doesn't
He will be
threaten
better.
a team,
He will be.
he will still be arguably yes, yeah, exactly. That's where I was going.
And they made
That's
the playoffs,
like-
right? They made. Yeah,
That-
they made the playoffs.
yeah,
They snuck
that's how
in
good
by the
They made the
skin of their
playoffs.
teeth.
that roster, bro. They have
They
two of the
started
best
That's how
young
good they
young.
are
2 years
defensively. Yeah.
They started
Dude,
11-0 2 years ago, bro. With,
Yeah, they went
with
13
the
and
corpse-
3 with Big
with the
Ben.
corpse of Big Ben.
He was the Undertaker. He just stuck his hand out of the soil and was like,
Poor
"I'm
Big
back."
Ben, man. Salute to the
Like-
Hall of
Oh my
Famer,
God.
Bro,
Salute.
you have
He
to
was so
realize
bad.
that Steelers roster has Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt, and Devin Bush on it, like on the same defense. And this guy has,
yes.
dude. If any competent quarterback had Deontay Johnson, Washington, Najee Harris, like I'm sorry. Like, they should be 10-7, 11-6. Ben was fucking terrible. And I hate to say,
started 11-0.
yeah,
Dude, and you know what's
Bro, my Steelers family.
how?
and Taji,
Dude,
Taji had
know
his
the craziest
fantasy
part?
running back on there.
Oh my
Like,
God.
he watched that every
wish
week.
that.
He
I don't
watched
wish
that
that on
every
anyone.
week.
Dude, you know what's crazy is like I'm kind of getting off topic, but I honestly think because if you remember how that Browns playoff game started, they went down like 24-zip,
Yeah.
whatever the hell they. And Big Ben, I think, did he hit 500 yards in that game?
Yeah.
He had like 97 pass attempts, bro. Like I am fully
I'm pretty sure he
convinced
did.
that they brought him back based on the back half of that fucking blowout. Like that is sad to me, bro. Like Ben was like, I still got it, bro. Like look at this. Let me go throw 500. And then the dude came out a corpse, bro. A literal corpse. And everyone was like, skinny Ben Roethlisberger. The guy's fixed his diet. Like, what's he gonna do this year?
No. Watching him do a 7-step drop. Watching him do a 7-step drop was the most entertaining shit I've ever seen in my life. It took him 35 seconds, and they're like, it's the O-line's fault. Like, no, he can't get to the drop spot, bro. Like, he's so fucking dumb.
Just throwing a fade on a 2-step drop, bro. He would just.
Yo.
Dude,
Are we the only ones that thought that while watching Ben play, though?
that was...
Surely not.
He was falling over his own feet at least half of the snaps. Like, the amount of amazing athletic throws he threw from parallel to the ground were incredible, dog.
Last year, I could
Oh,
not.
my cheeks hurt,
I,
dude.
for real, I could not stop picturing that video of Ben when he was younger, where they're throwing the bags at him in practice, and he's like hitting him at the ear and trucking him. I was like,
Yeah.
that was actually Ben last year, though. He was just like, because he couldn't escape it, bro.
Yo,
He just,
hey, do not let me forget. I'm clipping that, and I'm putting it on this video.
Oh, my
do.
God.
Right now.
that's great.
God. He was
I haven't
so
laughed like
bad.
that in a minute. He was abysmal, bro.
Just watching Chris's face.
I'm
like,
just picturing Taji sitting on the couch getting pissed every Sunday because
He's
he's like
0.7 a carry, bro.
He's like, why the hell is this not PPR? He's like, he keeps getting targeted. Why is it not PPR?
he's pissed off at the format, bro.
Yeah.
Taji would blow me up during Steelers games and no other game.
I'm
He'd be like,
dead.
bro, are you watching this? Najee, bro,
No.
This fucking line. This line. I was like, Taji, no. I'm not watching
had to admit-
Pittsburgh versus Houston. No. I'm not.
No,
actually.
the funniest part was when Chris puts his head back and he literally goes, Big Ben was so bad, and then like it looked like all the season highlights started
It
going
did.
through
They were
Chris's
just, like, hitting
head,
him,
and
and I
he
was
was just like,
oh my God.
he was the worst,
that
and he
bad,
started
bro.
dying laughing. Oh, the back of my ears hurt, bro. My fucking hat fell off. I couldn't keep it on my head.
My head hurts.
Oh,
My head actually
Do we
hurts.
have anything
God,
else
he was-
we want to hit on the
yeah.
No,
So-
we can't top that.
Eagles won.
We can't reel it back.
Eagles won the trade, right? Philly won the trade.
The Eagles won the trade. Shout out to
They-
Howie Roseman. I hate
they-
giving credit to the Eagles, but I'm gonna have to do it in this instance.
It's
That's
fun,
a flex.
bro. Like you guys,
Yeah,
you
they
guys-
flexed on him.
You guys should try trading for a 1 sometime. It's fun, bro. I'm telling you, like you mix that with rooting
Yeah.
for your own team, that shit is different.
Yeah.
Oh,
gonna have a
also,
blast
if
Yeah.
nobody
again.
knows, me and Chris have a hour-long conversation on my podcast. I'm wiping tears off my eyes. We have an hour-long conversation on our podcast, and we talked on there about how much it costs to go up just a couple picks, if not one pick. We referenced the Bucks trade with the San Francisco 49ers to get Tristan Wirfs, which is so funny because we could look back now, like next year we can look back, and we got Tristan Wirfs, and it looked like the 49ers won that trade at the start of it. It looked like we gave up a lot, but we have a guaranteed Hall of Famer at the right tackle now, and next year we may think the Saints actually got some good players out of that. So you never know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting stuff, man.
It's good stuff, man.
Just
Just like real quick.
I'm good.
I'll mention
Yeah, go
one
ahead,
thing
go ahead,
real
go ahead.
quick. When Philly traded for Carson Wentz, they traded Kiko Alonso and Byron Maxwell to go from 13 to 8, which thank you, Miami, for being dipshits and taking both those contracts. But
Shout out Chip.
Then to go from 8 to 2 because they wanted to go get Carson. We dealt the number 8 pick, a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, a next year's 1st rounder, and a next year's 2nd rounder. And that's to go from 8 to 2. So you guys start talking about the Saints going up from 16 to get near the top 5. They don't have their 1 next
Good
year,
luck.
right? That's in our hands.
Yeah,
they don't
good
have
luck.
a
That's
3
what I'm saying.
this
There's
year.
no way they can
They don't have
manipulate
They don't have
that.
a 3 this year. That's in our hands. They don't have their 2.
I
2
think
years
they're
from now.
reading
They
mock
just don't have
drafts
the capital.
instead of evaluating things. They're reading mock drafts instead
now,
of evaluating.
maybe does he fall to 10? Like that's a different ball game. Like the top 5 and 10 are a lot different. But I just kind of wanted to brief the audience on what a trade just going from 8 to 2 looks like.
It's crazy.
It's funny, real quick too, saying to your point about the worst San Fran trade. When you look at the players that the Browns actually cashed in with those picks, oh my God, they missed on every single one of them.
Every
single
one.
You know, picks are dope, but if you can't cash them in, they ain't worth a damn. So
They
I
aren't
read a whole
guaranteed
article
anything.
on it about the Tristan Wirfs trade the other day. It's very good.
that's good stuff, man.
Oh God,
Go Birds! That's all I got for y'all.
That's it. Well, I can't wait to go back and listen to that Ben
sure
Roethlisberger
watch
thing.
the
I
big
was
clip
literally,
on repeat.
my stomach hurts from laughing. So I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
oh
man.
But at the end of the day, he's a Hall of Famer. So credit where it's due. It was a great career.
Respect.
Just sucks that it had to end the way it did.
yeah, that ended terrible.
Yeah.
All right, man.
It was fun,
This has
man.
been a fun one. We will
Thank you all
see
for
you guys
listening.
next week for our
Appreciate y'all.
NBA
Tune on
playoff preview coming up next. So stay tuned on that next week, and we'll talk to you guys later.
See you.